Hey there, geometry people. We're going to take a little break from our regular scheduled geometry, and I want to do a little series on proofs because I'm seeing that as we go through geometry that people are having a hard time with proofs. So I wanted to lay a little foundation and do a little practice here, and so hopefully this can be a resource for you. Okay. So first of all, let's just talk about why do we do proofs. Proofs are a classic thing that you do in geometry because I think you're finally to the level of math where you can delve a little deeper. You know, in just basic, arithmetic and even in algebra, we didn't do a lot of asking why we do something. You would get taught a method, how to add, or how to subtract, or how to factor. And you would just kind of do it because you memorized it and then you just went through the steps. But you didn't do a lot of deeper thinking about why that was. And I noticed this because every so often people would do something that was crazy. Like we would have an equation, 2x equals 3. And I would ask, how do you solve that? And they say, well, multiply this side by 3 and this side by 2. And I would say, well, why can you do that? And they're just like, they're stumped because they've never thought about why. They're just pulling stuff out of their brain that's bumping around in there somewhere, and they think that that's okay, that's enough. Or we would go through like how you can do something, and they would come up with a totally different way. Now, sometimes that's valid. But I would ask them, well, why does that work? And they're like, oh, I don't know, it just does. And it usually had to do something with the fact that 2 squared equals 4 and 2 plus 2 equals 4. And so just randomly their method would work, but it would only work for 2s or something like that. So I guess my first reason for why we do proofs starting in geometry is that you're to a level of math now where it's good to delve a little deeper and really figure out why you can do something. Proofs are a deductive method where you make a statement and then you give a reason for it. Okay, so you're starting with the bigger overarching reason, and then you can make individual statements about things. My second reason, I guess, why we do proofs is that proofs are good for your brain. They're just like, it's like going to the gym for your brain. There's lots of puzzles, but one of them that comes to mind is, the kind of puzzle where, I give you a word, and then there's another word down below. I'll just make it a real simple one, but like this. And then there's 2 steps in between. And you have to change one letter at a time and make that word into that word. Okay, forgive me, I know this is kind of easy. It's the first one I can think of real quick. So you go from peach and then you change it to a B and you make beach. And then you change that to a T and you make teach. And then you change that to an R and you make reach. Okay, of course there are much more difficult ones. But that kind of logical reasoning is good for your brain. It's like lifting weights. It's taming this beast that sometimes just goes off and goes crazy, and you have lots of amazing thoughts, but sometimes they're just not very connected, or they're disjointed. They're not one after the other. And so by training your mind to think logically and to think step by step and orderly, that is good for your math. It's good for your chess. It's good for your, conversations and stringing together, your thoughts. Have you ever talked to somebody who just can't really connect their thoughts? They just say random things and it's really hard to follow them. Or they're trying to, make an argument and it feels like they're just all over the place. That's a person who hasn't tamed their mind. So doing proofs is just another way of kind of working with your mind and getting it under control and getting it more logical, getting it more powerful, getting it more persuasive. Anyway, that's why I think you should learn how to do proofs. And we're going to talk in the next couple 3 lessons. I don't know how many I'm going to do of these, about how you're going to do proofs. Okay, so that's my first thing. That's why.